Vibe so raw, can't hide the truth. Words so sharp, they cut right through. Real talk for the soul's appeal. Prayers rise up the wounds they heal. Lift our voices to the sky. A righteous perspective high. On this path we won't back down. For the Father wears the crown. Each step brings another fight. Breaking chains, we're seeking light. Voice of power won't be tamed. With His love, we're never ashamed. Lift our voices to the sky. A righteous perspective high. On this path we won't back down. For the Father wears the crown. From the ashes we shall rise. Hope is found deep in our eyes. Every word a battle cry. With the Father none deny.
Good Lord, y'all can't hear me. I got my daggone mic on mute. So, good morning, everybody. I hope all is well. Happy Friday to you all. It is a somewhat of a holiday. I don't necessarily celebrate these pagan holidays that they use to have us spending money. But for you guys that do celebrate it, to each his own, to each his own. But there we had some folks in the building, man. Early, shout out to Scott Jung, Jeff Ashcraft, Raheem Lewis, man. Appreciate you guys pulling up, man. Right at 9 o'clock, man. That's awesome, man. Appreciate you guys pulling up and showing some love, man. Murfreesboro, Tennessee in the building. What's going on, RJ Hudson? How you doing today this morning? Hope all is well with you guys. We got a great show. What's going on, Kenny G? How you doing today, brother? Happy Friday to you. Hope all is well with everyone. Zephyr K9, appreciate you pulling up. Yes, we are getting close to the 300,000. Wow. I'm humbled by that, to be honest with you, man. There was a time, I'm not even going to lie to you guys, man, that I thought for certain that I'm like, man, if I could just get to 10,000 subscribers. This was early last year, beginning of the year, January timeframe. And I was like, man, if I could get to just 10,000 subscribers by Memorial Day last year, 2024, man. And, guys, bless me so much, man. I think I had 10,000 subscribers by mid-January, which is crazy. So I had to, bump the daggone goal up, and ask. And my ask, I had to, it's so crazy, man. It's just such a blessing, man, to be, maybe a little less than 2,000 away from 300,000 subscribers, man. It is Such a blessing, man. I got a shirt on. I wanted to make sure I show some love to Nina from MPO Creations. I don't know if you guys can see this, but she created this T-shirt. She has a website, MPO Creations. I believe it's mpocreations.com. Go check her out. Great products over there. If you like natural products, I'm really big into the black soaps and the shea butters and things of that nature. I really like natural stuff to use, on my face, on my skin, on my body. I'm really big into that. So if you guys are into that type of stuff, go check her out. This is the shirt itself is phenomenal. She sent me and my wife a shirt, so you can see this. She's really big on this mental health, which is extremely important. We know we have a lot of people in this country suffering from mental health issues. Obviously, we talked about that yesterday, but making sure that not only are you healthy, in your physical, that is important. Making sure that your mental is important. Mental health is important. Your spiritual health is important. Extremely, extremely important, man. But appreciate you guys pulling up this morning as always. We started off today with some technical difficulties. It was not even technical. I'm just forgot to push the daggone button, had myself muted. So, oh man, we got Jeff Bland in the building from Australia. Wow. Shout out to you, man. Appreciate you pulling up, man. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. I always got to say this, man. I'm looking at the chat because the screen is this way, the camera is this way. So I'm looking at the chat and I'm, trying to focus on the camera as well. Yeah, I got the Bizzle hat on today, God Over Money. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Bizzle, man, but hands down, one of the best rappers out there, man. I've been rocking with Bizzle for a very long time. I got this hat. My wife, I'm going to say I got it. My wife bought me the hat. I got the T-shirt. I may have the T-shirt on in a stream in the near future, but I've had this hat probably 10 years, man. Anybody that knows anything about Bizzle, this is old. I've had this for a while, but I decided, man, it's a Good Friday. I want to, I wanted to put this hat on today, man. I wanted to rock it and represent, one, for the kingdom, but two, represent for Bizzle as well, man. Like I said, he's one of my, favorite rappers, man. Faith-based rapper. No cussing, no foolery. It's, just bars, but the word is infused all throughout it. It is phenomenal. If you have not checked out Bizzle, go check him out. You can pull him up on YouTube. Phenomenal. What's going on, Francine Mata? How you doing this morning? Appreciate Dragon Master Zero gifting another 5 Righteous Perspective memberships, man. Just so you guys know, we're upwards of 150 members. My goal with this is to get to 1,000. Just so you all know, we are definitely fighting an uphill battle, but having those memberships and having the people that support the channel financially in that way, it is such a blessing, man. It really is. I don't take it for granted at all. And I appreciate the support. Appreciate you, Dragon Master Zero. As I always say, the best way to support the stream, support the channel is 1, hit the like button, 2, share the video, share the streams with people that need to see it. The other way that you can do it, obviously, watching the videos all the way through, that helps YouTube push this type of content out to those that need to see it as well. If you'd like to go the extra mile, you can support the channel, 1, by joining the ARP family. You can also support the channel by buying me a coffee. That link is in the description box, if I'm not mistaken. The other way that you can support the channel as well is through Super Chat. Super thanks. If you want to, if you have anything that you want to say, if you want to just support the channel, obviously a super sticker, Super Chats will stop the show and they will get read pretty much immediately unless we're in the middle of a video. And then once that finishes, we'll get into the Super Chat, man. So I appreciate that, man. Shout out to you, Dragon Master Zero, for supporting the channel financially and, just purchasing the memberships, man. I really, really appreciate it. Shout out to you, Empress Energy. Appreciate you pulling up today, sister. You was just gifted a membership, man. Welcome to the ARP family. Thank you very much for pulling up. Francine Mata just gifted 5 Righteous Perspective memberships. Shout out to you. Appreciate you. Appreciate you, Miss Francine. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for the support. Shout out to all my blues. Sticky Rice 09 in the building. Good morning to you. Good morning, Empress Energy. Riza, I hope I'm, is it Riza? Is it Riza Mahmood? Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you pulling up as well this morning. Ron Henderson, what's going on with you, brother Ron? It's been a while, man. I haven't seen you in a little bit, man. I hope all is well with you, man. I hope you and the family are blessed. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. As you guys know, going forward, this will be the new time for our live streams. We do this thing at 9:30 on a Monday, from a Monday through Friday perspective. That is the plan. 9:30 in the morning live streams. I enjoyed it. It seems like you guys enjoy the morning live streams as much as I do. We had an impromptu over the weekend on at an afternoon time frame. We had a good turnout for that as well. Definitely appreciate you guys pulling up. Ron, I missed you, man. I'm glad to see you, man. We got to get you back up, but we're going to open up today. We're going to open up the line today as well. We'll drop the link in the chat a little later on today after the show. If there's anybody that would like to come up, just to have a quick conversation, you got any questions, or if you just have anything on your mind or on your chest that you want to get off, man, I want to hear from you guys, man. Happy Friday to you all. What's going on, B? How you doing this morning? Appreciate you pulling up. Amber Young, 6:30 in the morning out in Cali. Absolutely. I know it's early on the West Coast, man, but hey, this is a good way to get the day started, man. Good people, good conversation, man. We got a lot to talk about today. As you guys know, the world, or at least here in America, they're celebrating Valentine's Day. In my opinion, I don't celebrate these type of holidays. My wife and I, we haven't celebrated a Valentine's Day. It's been a very, very long time. We just don't get into these, quote unquote pagan holidays. And really and truly, they're just holidays to get you to spend money. That's really what this is about. What's going on, Hobo Rod Prospecting? I like starting the morning with a live stream. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate you pulling up this morning, as always. But the first thing I want to talk about this morning to get things kicked off, I know you guys seen the thumbnail, seen the title, and we're definitely going to get into that. But before we get into that, I want to talk about, because today is quote unquote Valentine's Day. Again, I am not a big fan, of these made up, pagan-like holidays. I'm not a big fan of them, but because in my opinion, it's just another reason for people to go and spend money that they probably don't have, and they're swiping it on credit cards and all this other kind of stuff. And I just find it ridiculous, man. I just find it ridiculous. We already got a super chat. Shout out to Dragon Master Zero with the $10 super chat. He says he wondered why the New York prosecutors refused to drop the case. Come to think of it, hold up. I missed somebody. Come to think of it, they were working under the Biden DOJ to bring the charges, and they know that Adams is working with Trump. Maybe that's why. You're absolutely right there. Although the lady that I guess recused herself or resigned, she technically was given the job by the Trump administration to be the attorney general for, I believe it's the Southern New York district or something along those lines. I'm looking forward to hearing some more information about that. I would assume that she's going to do an interview in the near future in reference to why she decided to, get out of that case and to get out of that situation, why she would not just follow that direct order to drop said case. I also find it quite peculiar that when Eric Adams started kind of pushing back on the Biden administration, all of a sudden these charges came up out of nowhere, when I would assume, this is just my assumption, that had he just gone along to get along with the Biden administration and allowed them to do what they were doing in reference to this illegal immigration, none of this stuff would have came out in the first place. So it sounds like it was a little retribution on the Biden administration side of things. And it looks like, Trump is saying, hey, if you help us, we'll help you. That's what it looks like. I'm looking forward to hearing a little more information, about that for sure. But Sticky Rice says he agrees, same boat. I must be missing something there. But all right, so let's get into it, man. So first things first, man, I want to talk about this situation that we got going on with these holidays, man. And, you have a lot of Americans whose, money is funny and change is strange. And we got to talk about it, man. So let's get into it real quick.
Talking your money, 1/3 of Americans say they have more credit card debt than savings, and that's according to a new report released by Bankrate. Experts say high inflation and interest rates continue to make it difficult for people to save for emergencies. The National News Desk, Jeff Harris, reports.
This new Bankrate poll found that 33% of respondents have more credit card debt than emergency savings, which is actually down from 36% last year. But despite the drop, Americans say saving continues to be a struggle.
Greg McBride, Bankrate's chief financial analyst, tells us while less Americans are reporting having more credit card debt than emergency savings, the percentage remains elevated.
It's still notably higher than it was at any time from 2011 to 2022.
McBride says one reason why? Inflation.
More and more households relying on credit to bridge that gap where the income stops, but the expenses kept going.
But Bankrate isn't alone. Usha Ratcliffe, who specializes in accounting, points out the Federal Reserve Bank of New York also released updated numbers highlighting how much Americans are in debt.
On average, household debt is $21,000 on a credit card.
To help yourself, both Ratcliffe and Amanda Heights, a finance expert, says really dial back credit card usage.
You've got.
Did you guys hear that? Did she say $21,000? That's the average balance on the credit cards right now? That's a lot.
To put a stop on new spending on a credit card if you can help it.
Know the money that's coming in and the money that is going out, and do your best to plan a budget.
Plus, Heights recommends keeping at the very least a small emergency fund so if something does happen, you don't go into more debt.
Try to just save up $500 or $1,000. And what this $500 or $1,000 is going to do, it's going to keep you from putting those emergency expenses on that credit card.
Now, according to the survey, millennials are most likely to have more credit card debt than emergency savings, right around 42%, followed by Gen X at 39%, and then also in third there, Gen Z at 27%. Reporting for the National News Desk.
That's crazy, man. And to answer your question, our time in the Word, no, I have not received the book yet, but when I do receive it, I'll definitely let it be known. I'm not sure exactly how you sent it, but I also haven't checked the P.O. box in probably about a week or so. So if you sent it, I'll go check it over the weekend, or maybe today if I have some time later today, I'll go check it if you sent it to the P.O. box. So I'll check it, but I have not received the book at this point. But that's crazy, man. That is crazy. And when these holidays, and you have people that I guess feel obligated to go and, buy their significant other some gift or something along those lines that they probably don't need. I ain't even gonna say probably, that they definitely don't need. And you probably don't have the money. So here it is, another thing that you swipe on the credit card or going out to dinner or going out to that expensive restaurant or whatever the case may be. It's just keeping you, in this hole, man, and I'm just not a big fan of it. It says that Americans are struggling with debt, as the overall debt levels reach $18.04 trillion in the fourth quarter of last year. That's a lot, man. That's the overall debt levels. Credit card balances, they hit a record of $1.21 trillion, rising 7.3% from the previous year. A lot of that's influenced by holiday spending, and then high borrowing costs because interest rates are crazy right now. There is a large amount of serious delinquency going on auto loans and credit cards. They say right now it's a 14-year high with 3.6% of outstanding debt, in some stage of either delinquency or worse. I mean, it is crazy. Inflation has forced so many Americans to rely on credit cards. And it's leading to, obviously this frequent new records in credit card debt. It seems like every quarter we're making a new daggone record when it comes to credit card debt, man. So my suggestion to all of y'all, my plea to all of you guys, man, don't go out and spend all this crazy money on these silly holidays, man. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't spend that money. Save it. You want to do something nice, man, do something nice, but you don't have to spend that money. You don't have to do it. I mean, it's just crazy. Goodness gracious, man. That's just, it's just mind blowing, man. I wanted to share that with you guys since it is a holiday. And like I said, I don't necessarily celebrate these pagan holidays like this. I just don't get into it because I just think it's a waste of time and it's a waste of money. I always feel like, anything that I want, when I want it, I'll just go get it. And if I can't afford it, I just don't need it. That's how I feel. Hey, Ghost Beer, I feel the same exact way, man. Pay cash. And if you are going to use the card, which I do like to use those, but just for the points and things of that nature, but I try to pay that thing off, every month because, there's some benefits, as well. When those balances start to rack up, man, it's just crazy. But let's get into the featured stories, man. I hope all is well. Make sure everybody hit the like button. We got 225 people in the building this morning. Make sure you guys hit that like button for me, man. And make sure y'all go over to mpocreations.com. Go check her out, man. She's got some really, really good products over there. Go check out what she has going on over there, man. If you guys are into the shea butters and the natural soaps and things of that nature, man, go check out what she has over there, man. I'm a big fan of those types of products, man. I'm a really big fan. But let's get into the feature presentation, man. Let's kick it off.
Well, that's a good one.
Mr. President, you won the White House in part because of high inflation. If your tariffs make prices go up...
Excuse me, we haven't asked you to speak yet, please. Okay.
Oh, Caitlin Collins, man. Just, that lady, man, insufferable. Another one of the insufferable women on CNN. She just got bodied, man. Just got bodied. And she needed it. Because a lot of these people, man, they feel like because they have these press passes and they have these credentials that they can just be disrespectful to the president. And honestly, they feel like they can be disrespectful to anybody that doesn't necessarily agree with them. But where do we begin with this today? Where do we begin? When Trump's not biting leftist journalists, I mean, he's signing executive orders like he's a boss, man, giving press conferences and making America great again. And to be honest with you, man, I am still trying to figure out how he does it. I mean, this guy has the energy of a 15, 16-year-old, man. I don't know how he does it. Now, I understand that he feels like because he only has 4 years, every day has to count. So I get that. He doesn't have an 8-year run this time around. He's got a 4-year run and he has a lot that he wants to get accomplished. So I understand it. But, a couple of big things came out of the Oval Office yesterday. There were whispers that Doge entered the IRS building in D.C. to begin their investigation into the agency after ex-users overwhelmingly voted for Doge to dig into the IRS just days ago. And it's not just people on X. And I doubt that a majority of Americans aren't overjoyed by this because Lord knows they had those 85,000 that was ready to come shake us down. We got a super chat. Hold up. Shout out to Ron Henderson with the $1.99 super chat. He says, President Trump is a dynamo and absolute beast. I agree with you 1,000%. He actually might be more than an absolute beast, to be honest with you. He's got more energy than most people out there. For a man almost 80 years old, I mean, you want to talk about somebody working their tail off? He is working his tail off right now. He is working his tail off. But Americans, are, excited about what's happening. But those were just whispers in reference to, them going in and, checking on and seeing what's going on with the IRS. They were just whispers until now.
Doge workers arrived today. Gavin Clagger and others arrived today at the IRS. Do you expect to close the IRS, or what are you expecting?
No, I don't expect it, but I think that the Internal Revenue Service will be looked at like everybody else. Just about everybody's going to be looked at. So it's they're doing a hell of a job. It's an amazing job they're doing. And that force is building these, I call it the force of super geniuses, but it's building. And they go up and they talk to some of the people about certain deals, and the people get all tongue-tied. They can't talk because these people get it. They're very smart people. We need smart people. Yes. Brian?
We definitely need smart people. Now, we know that majority of the government, a lot of those that are part of the Department of Education, they don't actually want smart people. because unintelligent people, uneducated people, they're easily controlled. So they don't really want smart people. That's not what they want. That's why they've been trying to dumb down society, dating back to 79. That's why the Department of Education, if you look at it back dating to 79, our numbers, it's been tumbling. And now we're in a free fall where we got 70% of kids in the 4th grade that aren't reading on grade level. It's a problem. But let's go, man. The IRS is finally under the microscope, man. Finally. And honestly, it's long overdue. You guys recall, they planned on hiring 85,000 armed IRS agents to basically come and shake the American people down for more money, like they're not already taking enough from us. But before I get into this, I think that, this is the first time in my life where I feel like a part of me is sitting in the Oval Office. A part of me is sitting in the Oval Office. Those on the left screaming about transparency. What's more transparent than a president and a team who are taking questions on a daily basis, letting us know exactly what's going on? We got to stop the show real fast. Sean Cross, shout out to you, brother. $10 super chat. I love seeing my fellow Black American men becoming conservative, Republican, independent. Have you always voted this way? Great channel, dude. I will say this. I have voted this way every election except for the Obama election the first time around. And I think everybody fell for the hope and change. The cool Black dude with a pimp that shoots basketball, that smokes Newports. I think everybody did. Well, not everybody, because I have a friend of mine that she had a revelation that he wasn't the wave, and she decided, but I didn't know her at the time, but I sure wish I wish I'd have known her so she could have gave me that insight. I don't know if I would have listened. I don't know if I would have listened, because again, everybody fell for the hope and change. Everybody fell for it. But then after that, man, please. But I can't say that I had ever really been on, or would consider myself an actual Democrat. If anything, I've been considered myself an independent, voted conservatively for a long time, lived my life as conservative as I can possibly live it, especially, once I got married and started having kids and things of that nature. But yeah, man, appreciate the question. But I'm excited, man. Because the IRS, they're under the microscope, and it needs to be under the microscope. No more hiding, corruption, no more hiding the waste. The IRS is essentially being audited. And the agency that goes around and audits everybody else is being audited, and it's a sight to see, man. I'm glad that it is happening. I'm glad it's happening, man. I might be enjoying this in a little too much. I may be, but it's a sight to see, man. It really is. You ever wonder why Washington's been such a mess? You guys ever ask yourself that? Why no matter what happens, no matter who's elected, no matter who's in office, it seems like nothing ever changes. It's the status quo. Everybody just does the same thing. Well, it's because we don't actually have a government that works for the people. And honestly, I don't think we've had a government that works for the people for quite some time. We have a government that's been working for itself. We got another super chat. Shout out to Ron Henderson. He says, we are true transparency when we can look under the hood and see where my money is going. You are absolutely right. You are absolutely right. Absolutely right there. You have no disagreement there. But like he said, the transparency, yeah, it's a lack of transparency, because we don't have a government that works for the people. This government that we've been living in and under, it works for itself. They'll say whatever it needs to be said to get elected. And typically it's they don't necessarily work for the people that elect them in office. They actually work for the people that supply them the money, that give them the money, that fill up their campaign coffers. That's typically who they work for. These politicians, I say, and then they get in there and they push the will of their donors and whatever it is that's going to help enrich them. And that's why you have a Pocahontas, a Elizabeth Warren, who can on a $200,000 a year salary can amass, allegedly somewhere over $12 million or so or more. That's how you can do this. But with Doge going in and investigating, these agencies, making sure every cent counts, ripping off the mask of the administrative state, the bureaucrats, the judges, the media, the establishment, it's no wonder these establishment politicians are in a full-blown panic. It's no wonder. Elon's been leading the charge, exposing government corruption and cutting the bloat. And what do you know? The same people who told us transparency is good are suddenly not so excited about transparency anymore. When Biden got in office, he told us this will be the most transparent administration in U.S. history, and it was everything but. It was everything but. So much to the point that we still don't really know who was running things. I don't know if you guys had a chance to check out the interview that Lindy Lee did on the Sean Ryan show. A couple of, I don't know if it was earlier this week when it came out, but it's on there. Go check that out. She exposes so much, and bless that lady, man, because, she's been whistleblowing for a little minute. Obviously, she's been ostracized from the party. It looks like she's, she's going to go on the Republican side and support that side, but she's going through a lot. She's been going through it, man. But go check that interview out, man. She uncovers a lot in that interview. But the people who said that transparency is a good thing are suddenly not so excited about transparency anymore. And after all these press conferences, after talking to these people, in the media day in and day out, what else do you know? The same leftist media goes in and tries to do the only thing it knows how to do, which is gaslight people into thinking that for whatever reason, Elon hasn't been transparent. It's the craziest thing ever. All we've received up to this point is press conferences and briefings on what they're doing and what they're uncovering. But yet the media will tell you that this isn't transparent. This isn't what transparency looked like.
The press conference, Scott.
Well, look, Elon Musk, who doesn't need to do this, has, he could be doing anything else. He's got companies. He's the richest guy in the world. Has decided to give his own time to a government of a country that he loves, that has given him all this opportunity. I take him at his word that he wants to be transparent, that he invites transparency. Obviously, everybody in the English-speaking world media is looking into him every single day. I would have no fear if I were him about Congress. He hasn't been asking questions and looking into it. I think they are.
The definition of it is he's not been on the front end of this so far. He's not been transparent. There may be.
They are making routine announcements about the things they are finding, and they are inviting questions about the things they are finding every single day.
But by definition, he's not being transparent. They're not providing data for the things that they say they have found evidence of. They just aren't.
The White House has provided.
You can make announcements, and he also did admit that he actually.
So you just don't believe it. They are providing information. You just choose not to believe that it's true.
I don't think anyone should just believe that it's true. Do you think that people have taken kickbacks of tens of millions of dollars from USAID?
Here's what I think.
Do you believe that?
I think every year.
Yes.
No, but don't accuse me of just like.
I'm just asking you. Do you believe that there is any level of fraud, waste, fraud, and abuse in the government?
No. That's not what you're asking me, and I'm going to ask the question. Don't accuse me of just like.
And so, if you believe that, do you believe that it's possible that they are finding and producing information about it? Of course,
that wasn't my question. My question was, by definition, they're not being transparent. They can continue to be successful.
What do you want them to do?
Provide data. If they're provide data that they have found people. Everyone would want to know if someone has received kickbacks to the tune of tens of millions of dollars.
I don't disagree with you. I love the idea of data. I love the announcements. I love them putting out regular reports of what they're doing.
They have not.
And I love the idea of Congress also bringing them up to report to Congress on what they're finding, because ultimately Congress needs to be engaged in this as well. I have no problem with that, and I don't think they do either, and that's what I heard in his press conference yesterday.
Okay. What did you think of
You can't make this stuff up, man. And then she gets all frustrated. I'm asking the questions here. Like, really? They're not even trying to hide it anymore, man. They're not even trying to hide it. They are an arm for the DNC. Their job is to defend and push propaganda for the DNC. They're not even trying to hide it, man. Everything they're doing is literally on Doge's X account. Everything that Trump and this Doge group, everything that they're doing, they're posting it on the X account. You can go look it up for yourself. All they got to do is look. I mean, the gaslighting is beyond insanity at this point. It's crazy. And to start, you gotta, oh man, you got usaspending.gov, daily information posted by Doge and the press secretary's MAGA minutes. Not only is there transparency, but there is unprecedented amounts, unprecedented levels of it at this point. We didn't know what the Biden-Harris administration was up to. And if you ask questions, you'd either get a word salad or you'd be shut down. Biden wouldn't sit and answer questions the way Trump has been doing. He wouldn't do it. His handlers wouldn't let him do it. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that he probably couldn't do it. And the funny thing is that these people, they're so evil that they gave federal workers a buyout option. They gave them a buyout option, full pay for 8 months, just to get the heck on. They gave them an option for the people that don't want to be there, that don't want to go back into the office, that don't want to assimilate with the new administration. You can dip out. They gave them 8 months. I don't know about you guys, man, but that is a long time. On the private sector, man, you're not getting 8 months worth of money when they decide to lay you off. That's not happening on the private sector. You're lucky if you get 2 weeks. Some cases, they might give you a couple of months or so. They gave these people 8 months to get on if they wanted to. They didn't just fire a lot of them either. They could keep their job if they were willing to go to work in the office. I mean, we're spending $10 billion a year on offices that no one was actually going to. I mean, you want to talk about wasting taxpayer dollars. So for those that decided that they did not want to go back into an office or that they could not go into an office for whatever the reason is, they gave them 8 months worth of pay, full pay with their benefits, the whole nine. And you know what? Those who didn't take it kind of said something about what they think about their skills when it comes to the private sector. Because the reality of it is this. There is a lot of people in the federal government that they don't have the chops to go and make it in the private sector. They just don't. They don't have the work ethic. They don't have the skill set or the actual ability to go out there and compete on the private sector. Because on the private sector side, if you suck, they're going to find out and they're going to get you up out of there. Typically within, you might get 3 months. Maybe it takes 6 months to uncover that you're not that good, but they're going to get you up out of there if you are not helping the company's bottom line. And the thing is that this previous administration, a lot of the new jobs that they were touting, they were government jobs, which is really just another form of, Section 8 or government cash assistance, essentially. Another form of welfare. I mean, a lot of these people, man, like I said, they couldn't make it on the private sector. Because you could get paid for 8 months, find a private sector job in the meantime, and have 2 salaries for probably, 6 to 8 months if you could do it. I mean, it is a great deal for the people that they quote unquote call evil. So, of course, an Obama appointed judge comes in and goes, nah, you can't do this. And now it's been reversed. So the Trump administration can move forward with its deferred resignation offer for federal employees. Now, the thing is that when you are a federal employee, it basically takes an act of Congress to be fired. They can't just get rid of you. If you no call, no show, don't come to work, you could do a lot of things and still not be fired. I know this to be true. And that's why so many people are like, man, if I can get in the federal government, if I can get in there, because they know if they can get in there, you're golden, you're set. You can basically halfway do anything and get by. Maybe sometimes don't do much and get by. And you could do that for 30 years, walk away with a pension. You think about that on the private sector, pension's been gone, but these people still not doing much can still get pensions. And the reality of it is that I heard something the other day where they were saying that, 20% of government employees are responsible for 80% of the production within the government. So if that is the case, you don't need all these people. But this just goes to show, the power struggle between the Trump administration and the entrenched bureaucracy in Washington. The fact that a judge thought that it would be okay to go get in the middle with this and thought that they had a leg to stand on is absolutely ridiculous. But the bureaucrats hiding in the wings, that's what they do. And, they're throwing around this word transparency, but it's not sticking. So what's next? It's this is a constitutional crisis of epic proportions. I showed y'all yesterday in a video I put out. That's the talk. That's the next talking point. Constitutional crisis. Constitutional crisis. They all got these same talking points. Because no, you can't ask questions about why bureaucrats are making so much money on the government salary. You can't do that. You can't ask why Politico or the AP got USAID funding. You can't do that. You're not allowed to do that. Because now that Trump is actually cutting down the size of government, what do we see? We see Democrats screaming about a constitutional crisis. That's where we are, man. Now, all of a sudden, these people care about a constitution. But if you guys have seen anything from MSDNC or, the Communist News Network and some of these other, I guess, independent liberals, these are some of the same people that have been talking about getting rid of the daggone Constitution. If y'all remember, what's the heavyset dude with the gray afro? I can't think of his name right now. But that dude flat out came out and said the Constitution's trash. And he's on MSDNC on a regular. Joy Reid loves the guy. What is that dude's name? Somebody in the comment section, man, or in the chat, man. What's that dude's name? I cannot think of his name right now because he's such a fool. But dude had the nerve to come on national TV and say the Constitution's trash. But all of a sudden, now everything's a constitutional crisis. But let's take a quick look at another clip real quick. Scott Jennings basically ripping the entire Democratic narrative in real time. It's an amazing thing to watch, man. It really is. Let me make sure this is the right video. Yeah, that's it.
Tried to tell a general how to conduct a military operation, that would be illegal. If a judge tried to command the attorney general and how to use her discretion as a prosecutor, that's also illegal. Judges aren't allowed to control the.
That's it, Chili Mac. I knew it. Eli Mastal. That guy there, he's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. That's it. Golly, I couldn't think of that dude's name.
Executive's legitimate power. The word legitimate is doing a lot of work here, but we do know that judges do get to say whether the executive is complying with the law or not. That's been the case for decades, hundreds of years.
Well, I think there's a difference between saying whether you're complying with the law and then you have these individual district court judges setting effectively broad federal policy that is specifically reserved for the president of the United States. I think we do have a constitutional crisis, and it's being caused by these judges. They're not here to tell us. They're not here to tell us how to spend the money. They're not here to set broad federal policy. That is the president's job as elected by the people. These judges are supposed to be settling discrete, specific matters not policy setting. I think Vance is right. I think Trump has a point. And these judges want nothing more to continue the lawfare against
I don't
Trump.
think anybody's going to.
Yeah, so we literally saw the Biden administration ignore multiple Supreme Court rulings on the eviction moratorium, vaccine mandates, student loans. We just watched it. Not only did they defy court rulings, but they even floated the idea of stacking the Supreme Court with liberal justice just so that they could override conservative decisions. They wanted to increase the amount of Supreme Court judges and then throw more liberal judges in there just so they could override conservative decisions. These people were talking about changing the fabric of this nation. So now, all of a sudden, they suddenly care about these courts, man. The hypocrisy with these people is ridiculous, man. And while the media is crying about Trump being a authoritarian, or he's actually, doing what every rational person in this country has been asking for, which is cutting wasteful government spending. We voted for this. It was a campaign promise of his. It's something that he ran on. I for the life of me, where was this talk when he was talking about the things that he was running on? I guess they were so focused on trying to end his life or trying to lock him up or trying to bankrupt him that they did not actually pay attention to, the campaign promises, the things that he ran on. So I guess they didn't think that he would even be in this position that he's in today. But thankfully, through the grace of God, he is there and he is actually doing the things and implementing the things that he ran on. I mean, we haven't seen too many politicians run a campaign, promise things, and actually follow through on those promises that was made via the campaign. It is a rarity. So honestly, I don't think the media is even used to this. They're not familiar with someone running for office and actually following through on campaign promises. This isn't something that they do. And Lord knows we know these Democrats, that ain't what they do. They promise one thing, they'll promise you everything to get into office, and then they forget about you for 2 to 4 years until it's time to, get back in the, until it's time to be elected again. And publicly, Elon Musk is being presented as the guy leading this charge, but behind the scenes, it's Trump's team, including Russell Vought, his former budget director, making the real decisions. And the swamp, they're furious. Because for the first time in decades, a president is saying, no, we're not just going to blindly spend taxpayer money. We're not doing it. We're going to spend it efficiently. And to be honest with you, it is the most reasonable thing that I've heard from a politician ever. Think about it, man. Most of these politicians are so used to spending money like it's water because it's not theirs, so they don't care. So the establishment, they are losing it right now. The swamp's activist judges are desperately trying to stop Trump from dismantling the administrative state. This is what they do, man. This is how the establishment survives. Whenever someone tries to rein in the government power, the spending, the system fights back. The bureaucrats, the judges, the media, legacy media, that is, and the establishment politicians, they all work together. They're all this evil cabal, as my guy Vince Everett Ellison would say. And they do everything that they can to work together to protect their own. And guess what? One of these judges just ruled. They blocked Trump from removing the alphabet pages from the CDC and FDA websites. I don't like using the whole all these letters, the LGBTQ pages, but they blocked Trump from removing those pages from the CDC and the FDA websites. I mean, come on, man. Can someone explain to me where in the Constitution does it say that the government is required to have LGBTQ page on its website. Where is that at? Because to be honest with you, I must have missed that part in my civics classes. And I got to ask a question, man. Are they actually is civics still a mandatory class that these people have to take these days? Is that a mandatory thing? Is it an elective? I mean, these people blocked Trump from removing the LGBTQ pages from the CDC and the FDA websites. I mean, it's crazy, man. Again, I ask, where is that in the Constitution? Goodness gracious, man. And let's talk about, why this is happening. Because this isn't just about a website or a single judge's ruling. Ultimately, this is about power. That's what this is about. And for decades, the unelected bureaucrats in Washington, they've been running the show. Behind the scenes, you don't see their faces. You don't know who they are. Congress doesn't control the country. The president, for the most part, doesn't even control the country. The administrative state does. And the elites in DC are terrified of losing that power, which is why they're throwing every legal roadblock in Trump's way. And to be honest with you, Trump, I'm sure he's prepared for it. He knew that this would be coming. They threw every legal roadblock they could and more to keep him from getting in office. And now that he's there, they're doing everything in their power to stop him. Some are even calling to bring actual weapons on Musk. They want to pull weapons on this guy. There's actually, that's actually what one Democratic representative said. I mean, it is crazy. These people, they have no shame, man. They have no shame. They don't care. They are not even trying to hide it anymore.
Hear why, but do you think that calling Elon Musk a dick is effective messaging for confronting what is a potentially irreversible transformation of the U.S. government?
Well, he is a dick. And I think that he's also harming the American public in an enormous way. And what I think is really important, and what the American public want, is for us to bring actual weapons to this bar fight. This is an actual fight for democracy, for the future of this country. And it's important to push back on the chairperson of this committee. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene talks about having decorum, about bipartisanship. This is the person that lies more than anybody else in the entire Congress. And so if she is going to make a mockery of hearings, I want to make sure that us as Democrats are bringing that same level of energy. And of course, after those comments, we went into exactly what Elon Musk is trying to do: dismantling the Department of Labor, dismantling the Department of Education, dismantling all of our consumer protection agencies. And so it's all important, but it's also important to get the attention of the American public and call Elon Musk out for what he is, and to make people know that Marjorie Taylor Greene is not a serious legislator, and she shouldn't be treated as such.
Yeah, so Representative Robert Garcia called for actual weapons to be used against Elon Musk. That's where we are today in 2025 in the United States of America. What's going on, Ed Mar? How you doing this morning, brother? Appreciate you pulling up. That's where we are, man. And you know what's kind of crazy? That back in the 90s, Democrats actually supported cutting government waste. They were for it. Bill Clinton himself signed a bill to reduce the federal workforce by over 350,000 employees. But now the modern Democratic Party, which really is just the new socialist communist party here in America, the modern Democratic Party is screaming that Trump is a dictator for doing the exact same thing that Bill Clinton wanted to do back in the 90s. They're not even trying to hide it anymore, man. They're exposing themselves. They don't actually care about government efficiency or helping people. They don't. They care about controlling the system and keeping the swamp alive by any means necessary, even if that means they got to pull out weapons, apparently. They don't care. But also through song. You guys got to see this. I'm sure you guys have seen this already. But this song, oh my gosh, these people are, this is an insufferable group of people, man. Seriously. Listen to this foolishness.
Oh, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Tell me, which side are you on? Which side are you on? We'll fight against Josh. We'll fight Elon Musk. No Elon's
my goodness.
within our walls. We'll fight from dawn to dusk. Oh, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Tell me, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Trump's coming for our unions. He wants us all to fail. He wants us to bow to him, but we want him in jail. Oh, which side are
I'm sorry. Oh. Yo, you cannot make this stuff up, man. I feel like we are watching some crazy reality show. That is ridiculous, man. Ridiculous. You cannot make this stuff up, man. You cannot make this stuff up. Shout out to Chili Mac for the $5 super sticker, man. Appreciate you, brother, supporting the channel. Thank you. I'm sorry, man. I got to give me a... They thought they was doing something. Oh, my goodness, man. Oh, my goodness. Oh, this is too good, man. Somebody asked me right after the election, man, my guy Jack Christie, man, he had reached out to me and was like, man, are you still gonna, keep the podcast and keep this thing going? I know, because last year, everybody, it was all to talk about the election and everything like that. And he was like, man, I was like, dude, if this administration with Trump coming up is anything remotely close to the last one, there's going to be so much to talk about. Oh my gosh, man. Oh my gosh. There's these people. Oh man. Who are the people that decided to go be a part of that? Seriously. Should I put it back on for y'all, man? Should we put it back on? Let's. Oh my goodness, man. I'm sorry, man. I mean, this is comedy. This is comedy. This is comedy. My wife said this was like it's like one of those, it's like those skits that you would see on like In Living Color or something along those lines. It's like that, man. This is the kind of stuff that back in the day, if you guys recall In Living Color back in the day in the 90s, this is the kind of stuff that they would put together. And you'd be like, there's no way we would ever see stuff like this. And lo and behold, here you have it. Oh my goodness, man. Oh, you can't make this stuff up, man. This is crazy. Oh man. You got to give credit where credit's due though, man. You do. You got to give credit where credit's due. There is one Democrat representative, Dean Phillips from Minnesota, who went on CNN and blasted his own party for how they're handling this Doge situation. And he had a warning for these guys, man, a stark warning for these guys that you got to see it for yourself. You got to see it for yourself. I won't put the song. I won't put the song back on. I won't put the song back on, but
only focused on one.
Oh
thing
my
right now,
goodness.
Mr. Musk.
It is some stuff that you would see like on a skit show for real. It really is.
And that was a proposition of mine. Unfortunately, Democrats are only focused on one thing right now, Mr. Musk. The fact of the matter, he's quite popular. He has the largest platform in human history, which is, of course, Twitter/X. And I think we're missing the boat as Democrats. And all I'm saying is that sometimes it's better to join them and actually play a role in how the strategy works rather than so pathetically, frankly, try to combat something that clearly is a steamroller, and Democrats are being steamrolled. And I'm deeply concerned about that. Yes, Musk is not elected. He has no accountability other than Donald Trump, and that's a frightening combination. And I don't want to cross my fingers. I think Democrats should join the club and then have more credibility to actually raise the alarm about constitutional issues. Right now, it's the boy who cried wolf.
Well,
He's absolutely right. Shout out to Sticky Rice 09. That song would be a great alarm ringtone. It definitely would. You'll be singing it though at work or something. You'll be walking around the grocery store singing Which Side Are You On? That song is going to be stuck in y'all head. I might have to bring it back. I might have to bring that thing back, man. I'm going to make sure that that song is stuck in here. Y'all going to be out and about singing Which Side Are You On? Shout out to Randy Hunt, man. $4.99 super sticker, man, or super chat, man. We are winning. Love your show. Trump and team is crushing it. Appreciate you, man. And you're absolutely right. Appreciate you supporting the channel. Appreciate that, man. You're absolutely right. And this guy right here, man, he's right. The Democrats would be politically smart to get on board with Musk, but the problem is Musk threatens their funding and exposes their corruption. That's the problem. So these people, they're boxed in. They're boxed in. They're all in on the grift, flailing, and everyone can see it. But the question is why? They all know that the American people want this federal spending. They want this federal spending reckoning. The American people want it. The American people voted for this. So many people are frustrated and peeved that with the spending. And as it comes out, and what we're finding out, you have people that are basically defecting from the daggone, from the Democratic Party after hearing the spending. And you have more people defecting because they're like, what do y'all have to hide? That y'all are willing to go out like this to keep these people from doing these audits. Shout out to Ron Henderson with the $4.99 super chat. Musk was not elected. He was appointed by the president. He works for the pleasure of the president. And you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, Ron. Appreciate the $4.99 super chat. And you're absolutely right. He wasn't elected. He was appointed. And that's just like when he was in that press conference in the Oval Office with Lil X, who was looking cool as all get out with the pea coat and the chain on. When he was in there, President Trump asked him, hey, Elon, give these folks an update as to what you found, what you've uncovered. And that's when he spoke. The left, the legacy media tried to make it seem like Elon went in there and took over the daggone press conference when that wasn't even the case. But they have to do this. They have to say that to their audience because they know that their audience won't actually go and watch the full interview or watch the full press conference. They know they won't do it. They depend on low information, low IQ voters. They have to have it. They have to have people that won't go read the full article, that won't go watch the full interviews or press conferences, and just be willing to take whatever brief snippets that they give them. They need it. They thrive on it. But the American people We asked for this spending reckoning. We asked for it. We asked for it. You got to wonder, like, is this all of this, complaining, all of this, gaslighting, the meltdown, is this for the small rabid base? Or do they really fear what we will find when the kimono is open completely? You got to ask yourself that question. Is it really about that small base? Is it really about, maybe the $1 billion donors? Appreciate the $3 super sticker. Thank you very much, Jeffrey. Is it really about that? Or are they really afraid about what will be found once the hood has been opened and it can really be thoroughly inspected? Because, Trump, he's made it clear. He's made it clear that he's not just cutting waste. He's about to start exposing all of the fraud, the corruption, the backroom deals, that have been draining taxpayers dry for decades. He literally said that he's going to hold a press conference and start naming names. Billions of dollars in wasteful spending is about to be put on full display for the American people to see. And this is why the Democrats are terrified. Because once people see the receipts, they won't be able to deny it anymore. They won't be able to deny it anymore. Once people started to find out just a little bit about USAID and the spending and where that was going, there were already people making videos on TikTok and X saying, man, I'm done with these people. I am done with these people. Shout out to Jared Caswell with the $5 super chat. Keep fighting the good fight, bro. And also, my wife loves your show as well. Appreciate that, man. And send my love in regards to the wifey. Appreciate you. Hopefully, y'all do something free and nice today. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of these quote unquote pagan holidays, but to each his own for those. But these Democrats, man, they scream about fascism. They can scream about it all they want, but how are they going to justify $1 billion slush funds for nonsense? How are they going to do it? How are they going to justify the kickbacks and, the money being, that was sent for one thing, but actually being gifted or given to another? They're not going to be able to refute it. And that's why they are doing everything that they can to stop it. So here's the deal. The establishment is panicking. The activist judges are panicking. The corrupt bureaucrats are panicking. And to be honest with you, they should be. Because for the first time in decades, someone is actually going after them. Someone is planning to or attempting to expose them. And Elon Musk and Trump are ripping the mask off the administrative state. And the establishment doesn't know what to do. Now, when we talk about establishment, we're not talking about just the Democrats. We're also talking about our friends over there on the right as well, who've been losing their minds. Now, we're also talking about those. And I honestly think that they're worse because the Republicans, who are in name only, those that we affectionately call rhinos, some of which have also and are still trying to put roadblocks on Trump's agenda. Mitch McConnell, I won't mention any more names. So we got to talk about the next story that I'm going to get into. It's been a big week on Capitol Hill. With Tulsi Gabbard being confirmed as Director of National Intelligence. I don't know if you guys seen the video, but she is a boss. There's a video out there on X and some other places, man, and she's out there. She's got her weapon. She's doing weapons training, and she's going through. She's something else. She is something else. But she was just confirmed as a Director of National Intelligence. And you guys know that RFK Jr., Robert F. Kennedy Jr., he was confirmed the other day for Secretary of Health and Human Services. And Kash Patel is up next. voted out of committee earlier this week, and now we're expecting the final vote. So I was hoping that maybe we'd hear something earlier today, but I hadn't heard anything yet. I'm trying to kind of keep track of if we have any breaking news, and we'll talk about it, here if it breaks while we're here. But we're gonna get into it all, man. We're gonna get into it all, but let's take a quick break, and then we'll get back to the show. Give me a quick second.
Look outside the window, see the world on fire. People screaming freedom, but they're preaching to the choir. My heart feels heavy, but my soul stays high. Living for the truth, not the games of a liar. In this game of life, everyone's a player. But how many truly live without a slayer? Trying to find the light while walking through the layers. Real talk, no filter, no overused prayers. We're chasing dreams in a restless land, holding tight to visions with an open hand, breaking all the chains, taking our stand. Life's a righteous ride, we've got it all planned. They sell us dreams dressed in glittery clothes, yet the wisest ones know how the story goes. Filtered truths and lies wrapped in golden bows. We rise above the noise where the freedom flows. Entertainment fills the screens, but what's real?
All right, so let's get back into it, man. I appreciate you guys hanging out for a little bit. I need to take a quick break, but nothing too crazy. But let's take a look at RFK Jr. officially being sworn in as the new Secretary of HHS. Let's get it rocking.
For 20 years, I've gotten up every morning on my knees and prayed that God would put me in a position where I can end the childhood chronic disease epidemic in this country. On August 23rd of last year, God sent me President Trump, and he gave me he's now given me, he's kept every promise that he's made to me. He's kept his word in every account and gone way beyond it. I'm so grateful to you, Mr. President. A lot of people told me that I couldn't trust President Trump, that I better get it in writing. And we did a handshake, and everything that he told me he was going to do, he has done. And I'm so grateful to him, and I've told you before, I genuinely believe that you are a pivotal historical figure, that you are going to transform this country at a time when we see all of the indicia of democracy now in tatters in our country. We see the rise of the military-industrial complex, the rise of totalitarianism, these attacks on our Constitution, and this breathtaking epidemic that is disabling our people. President Trump has promised to restore the American dream in this country. A healthy person has 1,000 dreams. A sick person only has one. 60% of our population has only one dream, that they get better. President Trump has promised that he's going to restore America's strength.
So I don't know if RFK Jr. is a Republican, but he is definitely MAGA. Now, I've been saying this for a little bit. Those of you guys that follow the channel, I've been talking about, maybe a different party. The MAGA movement, in my opinion, it's different, obviously, than the Democrats, and it's definitely different than the quote-unquote establishment Republicans. This MAGA movement is something different, man. It really is. But I'm glad to see, RFK Jr. get in there. His goal of making America healthy again extremely important. Extremely important. So for years, RFK says that he got up, every morning on his knees and prayed to God that, that God would put me in a position to end childhood chronic disease epidemic. And he says that Trump kept his word, man. This is the unity people claim that they wanted to see. Our friends over to the left, they claim that they wanted to see this as well. And here it is, man. I never thought that I'd see the day, to be honest with you. And for years, RFK Jr., he's been a thorn in the side of the medical industry complex. And now he's at the helm of HHS. He's been a longtime critic of Big Pharma. And the public health bureaucracy. And now he's in charge of the country's largest health agency. And while this is a win for the American people, it's an absolute nightmare for the establishment, especially for Mitch McConnell, who just can't seem to cope with the new Republican Party under Trump. Mitch McConnell was the only Republican to vote against RFK Jr.'s confirmation. Now think about that. But at this point, should we even be surprised? This is the same Mitch McConnell who has now voted no on multiple Trump nominees, including Pete Hegseth for Defense Secretary, Tulsi Gabbard for Director of National Intelligence. He's 0 for 3, and he's standing completely alone. And honestly, it's time for him to go. It's time for him to go. Even the usual rhinos like Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski didn't side with him this time around. But at the same time, they also understand that 2026 will be here before you know it. And the people, we're watching. We're taking names. We're making a list. You either get on board or we're going to find somebody else that will. So they didn't get on board with Mitch McConnell, but they also know that his time is about up. And here's what McConnell had to say, in his statement video. Let's listen to what he had to say about this.
One very significant defection here in the United States Senate. That was Republican Mitch McConnell, the former GOP leader, someone who just put out a scathing statement about RFK Jr.'s views about the issue of vaccine. I'm going to read you part of it, Pamela. He said that he noted that he's a childhood survivor of polio, and he talked about how vaccines have saved millions of lives around the world. He said that he will not condone the relitigation of proven cures, and neither will millions of Americans. He goes on to say that referring to Robert F. Kennedy Jr., a record of trafficking in dangerous conspiracy theories and eroding trust in public health institutions does not entitle Mr. Kennedy to lead these important efforts, referring to efforts to try to treat illnesses and disease. He goes on to talk about the efforts to try to deliver on vaccines. He says, Mr. Kennedy failed to prove he is the best possible person to lead America's largest health agency.
Yeah, so McConnell is extremely upset. He's extremely upset that RFK's, going to go in and be like, how about we test these vaccines out a little more before we give them out to children, to infants? God forbid we have vaccine safety. God forbid we have that. All he wants is to put vaccines through more rigorous tests before they go into our bodies. And honestly, that shouldn't be a wild statement or ask. McConnell's is upset that RFK wants to address the chronic disease epidemic that we have going on in the United States of America, or that he supports policies aimed at improving the nutritional quality of the food that's available to us, including removing harmful food additives and chemicals from processed foods that you don't find in any other countries outside of ours. But I think what makes McConnell the most mad is that RFK Jr. has promised to increase transparency within health agencies like the FDA and the CDC, and the fact that he wants to spearhead drug pricing reform. But before we get into all that, at 82, McConnell's had several, quote, serious health episodes, including one on Capitol Hill. You guys recall that. So I don't understand. I don't understand his beef, other than the fact that he may be on the payroll. Technical difficulties. Give me a second, guys. He may be on the payroll. That's the only thing that I can think of.
How are you feeling, Leader McConnell?
Let me know if you guys can hear that.
How are you feeling, Leader McConnell? How are you feeling, Leader McConnell?
Yeah, so you guys know that he fell not too long ago. And I believe he may have fractured a foot or something along those lines. But this guy, man, he's obviously on the take. You also have to ask, is he even the one voting? I mean, honestly, we may never know, but it does seem like he's still carrying water for Big Pharma and the same public health bureaucrats who destroyed trust in vaccines by forcing mandates, silencing dissent, and ruining countless lives over the past few years. And just to remind everyone, McConnell did survive polio as a child. So he's personally invested in defending the pharmaceutical industry. But here's what he doesn't want to talk about. The fact that RFK Jr. didn't cause vaccine skepticism. The government did. And that brings us to the real reason why so many Americans lost trust in the public health institutions in the first place. And you already know, Trump was asked about McConnell's vote, and as expected, he did not hold back. You guys got to see this for yourself.
Jr. as the next health secretary, citing conspiracy theories. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I feel sorry for Mitch. And I was one of the people that he wanted to go to the end and he wanted to stay leader. He's not equipped mentally. He wasn't equipped 10 years ago mentally, in my opinion. He'd let the Republican Party go to hell. If I didn't come along, the Republican Party wouldn't even exist right now. Mitch McConnell never really had it. He had an ability to raise money because of his position as leader, which anybody could do. You could do it even, and that's saying a lot. But the fact is that he raised money and he gave a lot of money to senators, and so he had a little loyalty based on the fact that as leader you could raise a lot of money. Senators would call me and they say, he wants to give me 20, 25 million. Can I take it? I'd say, take the money. Take the money. But he engendered a certain amount of, I don't even call it loyalty. He was able to get votes. But I was the one that got him to drop out of the leadership position, so he can't love me. But he's not voting against Bobby. He's voting against me, but that's all right. He endorsed me. Mitch, do you know that Mitch endorsed me, right?
Well, he did.
You think that was easy? What?
He had polio, obviously, and
I don't know. I don't know anything about he had polio. He had polio.
Are you doubting that he had polio?
I have no idea if he had polio. All I can tell you about him is that he shouldn't have been leader. He knows that. He voted against Bobby. He votes against almost everything now. He's a very bitter guy, and we have a very strong party, and he's almost not even really a very powerful member. I'd say he's not he's lost his power, and it's affected his vote. And it's one of those things. But in the meantime, Bobby did great, got more votes than anybody thought, and I think he's going to do phenomenally, just phenomenally in that position. And everybody else likewise did well. Not only well, they got more votes than anybody thought. Tulsi, look at how she did. She did great.
Yo, that was absolutely brutal, man. He ain't hold back, man. That's the one thing I do appreciate Trump, man, about Trump, is that he is going to let you know how he feels. There's no gray area with him. It's black and white. And I appreciate that. But he's absolutely right, man. Mitch McConnell has been in office since 1985. 1985. And at this point, he's barely holding on. He's literally being rolled around in a wheelchair and can barely speak at press conferences. And yet he still thinks he's the real leader of the Republican Party. I mean, honestly, somebody in his family should say, you know what, granddad, husband, come on, sit on down. Let's let this is a young person's game. Let somebody get in there and sticky right. So now you're absolutely right, man. Term limits are needed. The truth is, McConnell's done. His influence, it's gone. And the Republican Party is now a populist America First movement, not the pro-corporate neoconservative club he helped to build. Now let's talk about why HHS has been such a disaster and why a shakeup has been long overdue. And according to new reports, the Department of Health and Human Services wasted over $22 billion on illegal immigrants, including cash for cars, home loans, and even small business startup grants. What does HHS have to do with small business startup grants? And when's the last time you heard of a citizen receiving a small business startup grant? So RFK Jr., he, right off the rip, vowed that he's going to go in there and not only take care of the health situation in America, but he's also going to expose the corruption, much like in Doge, and to hold pharmaceutical companies accountable. And then you'll wonder why he's been getting this treatment. You got to wonder why, but this right here may, give you somewhat of an answer as to why. Let me pull this up. Okay, more technical difficulties. Here we go.
Selling a child's product to parents for $26, which casts fundamental doubt on your usefulness. Say you're pro-vaccine. Just want to ask some questions.
Y'all see it. So it's no secret that many of the members of Congress are deep in the pockets of Big Pharma. Deep in the pockets. And during his confirmation hearing, RFK, he confronted Bernie Sanders and his colleagues with the simple truth, which is that almost everyone of the panel has taken millions of dollars from the pharmaceutical industry. I mean, it was a complete and total embarrassment for these so-called leaders exposing their deep ties to the very corporations that they claim to fight against. In 2020, Bernie Sanders was the #1 recipient of pharmaceutical industry money. And right behind him was your favorite Indian, Pocahontas, Elizabeth Warren. And that's why if you only watch mainstream media, you think that RFK is a villain here, but the corporate press, they've worked overtime to frame him as an unhinged radical. But there was a time when, well, let's just say that maybe they didn't totally agree, but man, did they handle, the so-called dissent slightly differently. And before all those slush funds started filling their pockets, take a look at this right here. There was a time that they handled and dealt with RFK Jr. very differently.
Born in 1991. Has a slight form of autism called Asperger's. But it seems, and again, when I was practicing law and also when I was in Congress, parents would constantly come to me and they'd bring me videotapes of their children, and they were all around the age of my son or younger.
The generation,
something happened in 1989.
Exactly. The generation, what happened was the vaccine schedule was increased. We went up from receiving about 10 vaccines in our generation to these kids received 24 vaccines. And they all had this thimerosal in them, this mercury, and nobody bothered to do an analysis of what the cumulative impact of all that mercury was doing to kids. As it turns out, we are injecting our children with 400 times the amount of mercury that FDA or EPA considers safe. A child on his first day that he's born is injected with a hepatitis B shot
under EPA guidelines, he would have to be 275 pounds to safely absorb that shot.
And yet we're just constantly pumping our kids with these vaccines.
Right, and what happened was that in 1988, 1 in every 2,500 American children had autism. Today, 1 in every 166 children have autism, and plus 1 in 6 children have other kinds of learning disorders, other kinds of neurological disorders, speech delay, language disorders, ADD, hyperactivity, that all seem to be connected, that are all connected, the science shows are all connected to autism.
You know, Bobby, what we've always found, you and I could debate 1,000 different issues, whether it's Terry Schiavo or the environment. I think would agree on the environment. But in this case, you've got the federal government coming in saying, well, there's no good science. And of course, in politics, science always gets diluted. Why hasn't the federal government stepped up and worked more? Because listen, Bobby, I can't prove it tonight. You can't prove it, but intuitively, you look at the spike, you look at what happened with the Marisol, there is no doubt in my mind, maybe it's 2 years from now, maybe it's 5 years from now, maybe it's 10 years from now, we're going to find out that the Marisol causes, in my opinion, autism.
You know what? The science is...
There you have it. And there you have it. MSDNC's Joe Scarborough probably doesn't want you to see this. I'm sure he doesn't want you to see this. So that's why we wanted to show it to you today. Because fast forward to today, and we got MSDNC cutting off Trump's mic during the swearing-in ceremony of RFK to bring in some so-called health physician to basically take a dump on RFK Jr. I mean, these people are ridiculous, to say the least. They are.
And hospital revenue cycles. Dr. Drew Updike. All right, so we are going to watch as RFK Jr. gets sworn in. Donald Trump is now speaking at the lectern.
These so disrespectful, man. The disrespect is just unreal with these people, man. It is. And the bottom line is this. As it all comes together, everything is connected. And the bottom line is that Congress, the establishment, the media, they're all bought and paid for. They're all bought and paid for. Politicians are getting rich while Americans struggle. While Americans are getting sicker each day. Trump, Musk, RFK, Tulsi, and hopefully very soon, at any moment, hopefully today, Kash Patel, they're doing everything that they can to fix it. And the establishment hates them for it. And that's why the media is lying to you. That's why the media is working overtime to sow dissension and really give off their own misinformation. Because they are either bought by these big corporations, got money from the government through NGOs and slush funds through USAID, or they're all in bed together. And this is why they're weaponizing the courts, pushing fake scandals, launching personal attacks. That's why they're doing it. They're desperate to stop the movement. They're desperate to stop the movement because they know that once people see the truth, the whole house of cards comes down. So I would assume that Kash Patel will get in today. Obviously, if it happens, we'll do something on it a little later today. But wow, there's a lot going on, man. A lot going on. But I appreciate you guys pulling up. That's all I have for y'all today. But I appreciate you guys pulling up, man. And, you know, as always, I appreciate everybody that supports the channel just by pulling up and being in the chat and, you know, good discourse. Civil discourse, I think, is really, really important. It's good. You know, so I really, really appreciate everybody in the chat that, you know, keeps the show going. Shout out to you, RJ Hudson. Shout out to the mods, Zephyr K9, B. Who else? Who am I missing? T.A. Caskey. Appreciate you all pulling up this morning, as always. Shout out to everybody that supported the channel financially today as well. Dragon Master, Francine Mata, Who else am I missing here? Ron Henderson, Chili Mac, Sticky Rice 09, Randy Hunt, Jeffrey, is it Wizenot? Is that how you pronounce that? Jared Caswell, appreciate you supporting. Appreciate you guys supporting the channel, man. As always, man. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy the day. You know, nothing wrong with getting out and you know, hanging out with the people that you love. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. But I appreciate you guys supporting me, man. I hope you guys enjoy the weekend, man. Keep God first in your life. I'll catch up with you all a little later. Peace.
Vibes so raw.